Hey there folks, welcome to this video. I recently picked up Assetto Corsa Evo, and since I've had the chance to try it out, and I've got hundreds of hours in the original Assetto Corsa, thousands of hours in ACC, as well as hours in every major sim racing title on the marketplace today, I figured I'd give my thoughts, my feelings, a kind of comparison to other things that are on the market, and yeah, let you know what I think. Starting up with the first startup of the game, and it started up quite nicely, quite smoothly. It didn't have any proper issues with it. It was nice as well. On the loading screen, it shows you where in the roadmap AC Evo expects itself to be at the moment and how it expects to progress. It's nice to be able to have that as a reminder this game is an early access game. And whilst they are going to have a full 1.0 release at some point in 2025, this version that we've got is a very early version of the game. It's something that then becomes more apparent when you look at how few features there actually are already in the game. There are a few bits and pieces. You can do some races, you can do some practice, and that's pretty much it. Conditions are there, and a handful of tracks are there. So that's something that's good to be able to talk about, and something we'll get into in a moment. But overall, it was alright. Wasn't overwhelming. Wasn't underwhelming. In terms of the settings, now I've got a setup that is a Fanatec CSLDD. I've got two different rims that I use for that. I have a Formula rim and I have a round rim. In terms of graphics, I have a 4080. So it means that I'm able to run everything on max settings, and it means that I'm likely to want to have profiles that can change from wheel to wheel, because the Formula style rim has got some bits that my round rim doesn't, like rotary dials for example, or switches for things like traction control. But what I found was, whilst it is quite straightforward to map into AC Evo, a lot of stuff doesn't happen by default. So for example, you have to map in the steering, accelerating, braking, clutch, and there's no profile saving option. So unlike in, say, ACC, where you can have a profile for your Formula rim, you can have a profile for your round rim, and then you're able to change between the two as you change the rims. You don't have that at the moment. It might be something they add later. Like I said, ACC has it, but it's not something that's there right now. One of the things I do like that it has right now, however, is the fact that you don't have to reboot the game if you're changing rims. One of the big selling points for the Fanatec QR2 was the fact that the way that it was powered meant that you didn't have to do it. But a lot of games have it built in. ACC didn't. iRacing does. AC Evo, thankfully, does as well. So if you are jumping from the GT cars, which have a Formula style rim, into a road car that has a round rim, you could do that with ease. And that is really nice. What is also really nice is the graphics. And like I said, I have a 4080. I turned it up to maximum straight away. It didn't have everything absolutely at maximum. So like super resolution settings, for example, you then have to tinker with yourself. But it was only maybe a minute's worth of tinkering for me to find a setting that worked well, that performed well, that was constantly getting above 60 frames per second. My monitor is 100 frames, but because I was streaming at the time and recording, I was like, I'm not going to go above the 60. And it was consistent, it was dependable. There weren't many stutters or frame freezes. And especially for an early access launch, where it's a new game engine, you'd expect some stuff like that. So to be able to have that kind of reliability and dependability out of the box is really impressive. It's really well done by Kunos in that one. And it's something that probably isn't getting the praise that it should. Likewise, the sound is incredibly impressive. There are some bits that I'm not so sure about. It's largely to do with mixing. So for example, at Bathurst, I found when I was doing my first couple of laps in the Toyota GR86 that it felt like the engine noises were much more pronounced, almost too much more pronounced, when the walls were closer to us rather than when the walls were further away. Especially given the gap in terms of distance isn't particularly pronounced. I don't know, that was just a feeling that I had. It's cool to have those effects, but I don't know how effectively those effects are being implemented at the moment. Likewise, the AI. Now, it can have some fun wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door racing, but at the same time, there are definitely teething problems with the AI. Sometimes they just take lines that do not make any sense, as I found in a Suzuka East race that I was doing at one point. They were just cutting corners for no particular reason. One of them drove into the pit wall because that was the line they decided to take. And sometimes, if you've got it below 100%, they will just dive out your way. But if you have it at 100%, they will just drive through you. It's one of those ones that's a bit strange. It will need some fine-tuning, and it will probably get that fine-tuning over the course of the early access period. Right now, it's good. You can race hard against them, but I found too many times where my wheel was snapping on me. Which then takes us to talk about the cars, and the car roster for Assetto Corsa Evo is more impressive, I would say, than their track roster to start off with. When you look at what they've got, it's built upon what was originally in the original Assetto Corsa. So you've got a Fiat 500, you've got Alfa Romeos, you've got Ferraris, though they were more kind of dream pack, but you've got Ferraris in there. You've got some more nice hot hatchbacks, your Golf, your i30. Then you have the track ready cars, your Porsche Cups, and you have all these different variants of it as well, the ones with or without ABS, and the one that has TC and ABS, so the proper Super Cup variant. That is really cool to see. And you have the GT2s that we know and love from ACC. And they feel like they've been improved upon between ACC and AC Evo. It's a nice experience. They are nice cars to drive. And even at the road car level, there are some really nice unique nuggets in there. Like, you wouldn't expect many modern racing games on launch, especially when you've got a limited car list. To have an S2K, the Honda S2000 was so much fun to drive. The Mazda MX-5 is also fun. That electric Alpine was really cool, though I tried to drive it in the wet and didn't realise it didn't have windscreen wipers. It'd be nice to have a little warning message for that one. And then we get to the tracks. Now, we knew that AC Evo wasn't going to launch with its full roster of tracks. We knew what tracks it was going to launch with. And the tracks they've picked are good. Suzuka, Brands, Imola, Laguna. They're a lot of fun. You can get so much good experience out of driving the tracks that come with the game on launch. But it is a bit strange, the tracks that are missing. You know, we don't have a NURB or even NURB Nords, or we don't have a Spa. Though there was a Spa billboard at Suzuka for some reason. It was interesting given the kind of tracks that I remember from the original AC. Something like Vallelunga, for example. I was kind of surprised wasn't included in the original launch, because I think Kunos, when they were making the original Assetto Corsa, were based out of Vallelunga. But they are good tracks, and it shows the attention to detail that's going into making these tracks. They look great, they feel great, they seem realistic as well. And it's again showing the continued development that Kunos have from the original AC to ACC to AC Evo. But there are teething troubles, not just that people can't connect to the internet servers at the moment, but like I said, there's the AI stuff, there's the sound not really feeling particularly optimized at the moment. Graphics are okay. I think the main thing for me is that what I mentioned earlier about the map and controls. Lack of saving individual profiles. Like, my settings had 2 Fanatec wheel setups, and I could only map to one of them, so it would have been cool if I could map to both of them and go, alright, this one's going to be my Formula 1. This one here is my round rim one. I'm not sure, as a result, why I have 2. Maybe one of them's compatibility mode. But it is fun. It is a good game. And I'm hoping the AI stuff gets patched as well. There were some really weird moments where you have full lock changing in steering direction as well, especially when you were, say, restarting a session if, like me, you got wiped out by the AI one too many times. And that was something that caught me off guard to the point that I then ended up, whenever I was restarting a race, not putting my hands on the wheel until I was on the grid. But anyways, yeah, my final thoughts and feelings on the game. I would recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, is it 26 quid's worth of fun at the moment? No. But you are buying it knowing that this is a good development team who will give you that £26 worth within the next few months. Which is better than, you know, something like, say, FM8 when it launched. I bought Forza Motorsport 8 when it launched and installed it on launch day. There were all kinds of teething issues here, there, and everywhere. I do still enjoy Forza whenever I have it installed, but it took such a long time for it to get into that state where it was good, and you were paying above what was the retail price, I would say, for something like that. AC Evo is a bit like LMU in a sense, of what it's got and what it is going to get after its early access launch. And it's a fun play. I think it's the best looking sim racing title on the market right now. Don't know about best feeling, but I do think best looking does go to it. The way that it looks in terms of the weather, in terms of the track quality, in terms of the car quality is fantastic. The sounds are great too. Handling is alright. It's not perfect, but it's fun. Yeah, give it a go if you feel like it. Don't expect much right now. Think of it, if you are going to get it, like I have, as a future investment. One of those things where if you get enough playtime out of it as it builds up and gets to 1.0, you'll have gotten your money's worth when 1.0 comes out at the end of 2025. And on that note, thank you so much for watching and joining. If you do want to stick around, I would love to see you around more for whatever content I'm doing, whether it's gaming or real world racing or something that lieth betwixt. Until next time, it's bye for now.